Welcome to the Sports Nation TV, and this is Kawalya. This is the inbound show where we talk nothing but local basketball. That of course includes the National Basketball League, the lower division sides, and the national team when needs to be. We are back, and this time we return big and better. We last had these shows about 2 years ago, but now we promise to deliver consistently. Like I said earlier, this is Kawalya. We are going to talk the return of the National Basketball League, which tipped off at the concluded weekend. And I'm not alone here. I'm joined by my colleague Franklin Kaweru, an editor from Kawo Sports. Yep. Franklin, say hi to the viewers of the Sports Nation TV.
Hello, the viewers of Sports Nation TV. The man himself has already introduced me. I'm happy to be here for the first time, I think.
At the first time, yes, exactly. You are making your debut. Hope you make it count.
It has to be a gaucho kind of debut, a brown kind of debut.
Before we start off officially, how is Kawo Sports?
Kawo is fine. We're doing good. We're doing good.
Define good.
Good is we are putting a stone onto the sports scene in Uganda.
Yes, you guys set that trend, and thank you for delivering the sports news, and thank you for setting the what?
The standard.
The standard, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Franklin, the National Basketball League started for the first time in January. You've watched more basketball earlier than me, I believe that.
Yep.
Have you watched the league start in January before?
No, I think since I started watching in around 2007, 2006, 2007, the league was always starting around April.
Yes, and March recently.
Yeah, and March.
FUBA reached that decision because they wanted to align their calendar of activities with that of the international calendar, that is FIBA. Was it a wise decision to start with?
Yes, obviously it was, because these teams are playing for a chance to compete at those international competitions, BAL.
Yeah, the Basketball Africa League.
So it is important that you align your calendar with the competition time of the tournament that these teams are competing to get a chance to play at.
Let me take you some few months back. FUBA made that decision last year before we entered the playoffs. And they confirmed that year's winner of the National Basketball League in the men's division will not be competing, will not be representing the country at the Basketball Africa League.
Yeah.
That did not sit well with the Blazers, who eventually pulled out of the playoffs, citing that the decision was it was the wrong timing to start with. Yeah. Do you think that it was a good decision? Was it justifiable for Blazers to pull out?
Was it a good decision? Obviously it was, because like it or not, there needed to be alignment to be made with the BAL calendar. And then
no, Franklin, I mean Blazers pulling out of the season.
I'm starting first of all with the decision that FUBA made. I think there needed to be a decision to be made as regards aligning these calendars with the international. I mean, you have seen that across other sports. You've seen it in football, you've seen it everywhere else. That local leagues actually have to align their calendars with the international, where you want these clubs to compete. And FUBA to do that wasn't really a mistake or something like that. It was coming now. Decision to pull out by #1 Blazers. Of course, when you feel hard done by a decision, you're going to take your own as well. Whether it is right or not, you're going to take it. But when they made that decision and they said the team that is going to represent Uganda in BAL is going to come from this season, it meant that this season is going to start much earlier than they have been doing. And I think what FIBA did not do probably is to explain very well. FUBA, I mean, did not explain very well to all the stakeholders to make sure they understand where this decision was coming from. And
they are not consulted initially.
You don't need to consult to make a decision. You need to explain the decision that you're taking, because you're not making it as FUBA. You're making it based off something that is pushing you to make this decision. It's not that you start somewhere and then you're making a decision out of the blue. There are factors that are pushing you to make decisions, and those are the factors that you need to explain and make sure your stakeholders understand them clearly. And I think that is something that probably FIBA did not do for non-Blazers to be able to understand this decision and not pull out of the league.
Yes, and Blazers of course said that the decision, they would have communicated that earlier before the season started, because they wouldn't have invested that much, given that the National Basketball League winners take nothing away from that trophy. So I think maybe it was justifiable
from their point of view it was.
Yeah, from their point of view. But now fast forward, of course, City Oilers went on to win their 9th title in a row. Was that surprising?
Not really.
Beating KU Titans in the finals 4-2.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't really surprising. I think City Oil is head and shoulders above everyone else,
as it has been for the other seasons.
Especially, actually, both on and off the court. I think they are more organized. They are more streamlined to win. They are more prepared to win than every other team in our league, and that is something, of course, that whoever wants to dethrone the Oilers has to take an initiative to do. They have to be more organized, they have to be more streamlined and be able to compete with the Oilers. But at the moment, I think it is always a matter of when, not whether.
Maybe we shall discuss whether they'll be able to defend their title this season. But in the women's division, shortly, JK-led Dolphins beating KIU Rangers, who reached the finals for the first time.
Yeah, that was coming. That was coming.
KIU to reach the finals, or JK to win their third title?
And also KIU to reach the finals. I think they had been knocking and just coming short at the semi-finals, because they had been the semi-finals time memorial, and they just needed that final punch, and it came just at the right time when they put together quite a good team that was able to compete, and you could see it from the regular season with the kind of basketball that we were playing, that at least this season, that season, KIU Rangers would be able to probably play the last game of the season. Was it surprising that JK won? Of course not. Of course, they came into that season on the back of losing to UCU in a rather bad fashion, and of course they had a lot of soul searching to do, and they had to make amends, which they did quite easily.
Yes, and now the new season is up and running, the 2024 National Basketball League. It started off on a high, unlike in the past with City Oilers or JKL. In the past, always the defending champions have been opening up the league. Yeah. But now City Oilers, JKL were given a break, and we started with KIU Rangers opening up with Blazers in the men's division. Blazers reigning supreme, winning, I think it was by 4 points difference. You saw the new signings from Blazers, Gaki Daniel, the likes of Joseph Chuma, Innocent Ochera and Chuma doing the damage to KIU Titans. How did you watch that one?
One, I think it was not a game that would reach, you'd read much from. It was two teams coming off.
The result or the performance?
The performance or the result? Both. I think there was nothing much you can read out of that performance and the result, because these are teams that were coming off season and only playing their first game. It looked more like an exhibition game.
Aren't you trying to water down Blazers' efforts on the night?
Not really. I don't think even themselves would be impressed with how they played. I don't think that is how that team is set out to play. And obviously, it's not how KIU set out to play. These teams are going to improve, but it was just a first game, and you would see it is the first game of the season. There was not a lot of telepathy between the players.
Yeah, maybe it's understandable because of the new additions.
So it is understandable. It is not a game that was fluid, if I may say. So there is not much really you can read from the opening game of the season, but it was good nonetheless to have a team that is not champions of the previous season opening the league for the first time. Of course, you saw the headline that the Daily Monitor
calling them the bridesmaid.
Yeah, and of course, which was rightly so, because
it didn't go well to those teams.
They didn't, but that was a fact, and it actually still is a fact, because it is, in my opinion, one of those teams will be in the finals with the Oilers.
That's another discussion, Franklin. Let's first talk about Blazers to start with. I was seated with you during that game, and of course I was excited seeing that backcourt of Daniel Gaki and of course Innocent Ochera. Yeah. Were you impressed by that kind of performance that they put up on the night?
Yes and no.
And in line with that, with the departures, of course, Cyrus Kiviri, Chris Omanye, are these the best signings that now Blazers could have brought?
Available, yes. One, the difference between Daniel Gaki and Chris Omanye is one. Daniel Gaki is a bit more composed.
A facilitator.
He's a facilitator. He's what you'd call a natural point guard, an old school point guard, whose work on the court is just to distribute the ball and call plays out. He's not the kind of person who is going to go out and get you 15 points. He doesn't want to attempt a lot. He would rather see his teammates thrive, and the team thrives in running sets and that kind of stuff. So that's the major difference between him and Chris. Chris was a very good one-on-one player, okay? Not much as a facilitator. So I think now Blazers wanted to switch a little bit from ISO basketball, from their guards to
play something structured at least.
But of course, when the ball gets to Innocent Richard, I mean, he's not a good passer of the ball, if I may say.
Yes, he wants to embrace the bat and attacks the hoop.
By the time the ball gets to him, I think he feels it is time to go up for shot. And so it will take time to have this team play a little bit more fluid basketball. Of course, it did not show in the opening game that there was a lot of fluid basketball or passing around the ball that went on. It was a result that they took, but not the performance. I'm sure about that.
Ochera might have scored a game high, but it's Chuma who took the headlines, especially in clutch, scoring the last 8 points to close out the game and give the win to Nam Blazers. Given that he came from KIU Titans, and many things that he wasn't given enough playing time by the KIU. Of course, whether they had a lot of quality in their roster last season, but is he someone who's going to determine Nam Blazers selling this season?
How can I put it? Yes, he's an important piece in that Nam Blazers setup. As we know, there is hierarchy. Many people appreciate hierarchy in basketball. Many coaches and many fans, many journalists like yourself, but that is not the case at Nam Blazers. From what they have showed us since they came into the league, anybody who is in position to score is the one that takes the shot. The day. Okay. On that day, it was Joseph Chuma who had a hot hand, and everybody was going towards him. Like,
and that came especially in the second half of the game.
In the second half of the game, everybody was right. In the first half, it was Ochera who was taking up the shots and going, and everybody was following that. And that is how I think Nam Blazers approaches their basketball. Like whoever is working with this shot is the one that we are going to ride on.
Whoever has a short hand,
yes,
a hot hand.
Yeah, and so pretty much everybody in that Nam Blazers setup is an important piece, especially those starting five. I did not see a lot of impact from the bench. Of course, that bench has Geoffrey Soro, who is experienced, Paul Dong, the captain, who is also experienced, but the bench did not provide.
Yes, and they usually and they somehow struggled every time the first five were arrested.
Yes.
And KIU Titans tried to use that opportunity to try and stretch the lead. But when, of course, the Innos came back, they restored parity. But Franklin...
It was also difficult for KIU to manage that game because they were playing a lot of isolation basketball.
Because of that new ball?
The new signings. I think they were just playing...
Pia and Tembo, the two Congolese.
Yeah, they were playing. I think they had the green light that day to play a lot of iso basketball, and it is very, very difficult to fly when you're playing.
Is it something that affected them?
Yes, a lot. Yes, because it becomes easier then to defend. You make it easier for the other team to defend.
I will discuss KIU Titans at length later in our next episodes, but today let's try to focus on Nam Blazers. Talking about their new signings, we've talked about the Innocent Ochera, Gaki, and of course Joseph Chuma. Yes. But then Michael Ngut, who joined from City Oilers. Then after, of course, there was excitement. He's such a good player. For the few games that we watched him play for City. Yes. Play for City Oilers. He has, of course, he has the size. He's got the handles, and I think it was on Saturday. because he missed that Friday game. I was told initially that, of course, he's going to miss the opening games because of his lack of fitness. And I was told that he was training with Res Life coach, Daniel Najajuko, individual, of course, to improve his fitness. And then I was told that he's in Kenya competing in an exhibition tournament, which was against or without the consent of Blazers, the team that had signed him. And then I learned on Saturday that the club moved to terminate his contract. Of course, that spread like wildfire, but then he reached out to me. He called me on WhatsApp and we had a chat. And then he complained that he had no contract with the Blazers. He had not signed anywhere, and of course he was furious because by the first time when he reached out to me, he was confusing me with Brand Tucker, and he accused me of talking falsely against him on TV, and I just had to calm him down. But we normally reached an agreement. And we had a lengthy chat. But the thing is, he has terminated. He and Blazers are not going to be together like we thought. For starters, was it wise for Blazers to sign a player that I can think that he has failed to come in terms with the City Oilers? Because I understand, like, if you fail with the City Oilers management, it's always very difficult to flourish at other teams. I don't know if you share that same view with me.
Really, not exactly. I think the standard of discipline City Oilers expect from the players,
a professional player,
is the highest that we have in Uganda. To be honest, it is not that when you fail at City Oilers you're going to fail somewhere else. I think the standard of discipline that is part of you as a player from City Oilers on another level is way
maybe some players can walk away with it while playing with other teams.
Yes, there are stuff that you cannot do at Soila, but you will walk away with it at another team.
So it's the other way around. You can maybe
yes.
Let me not do that. Continue with your submission.
I think Blazers had gotten a good player, but from what I've been told is that right now Blazers are also serious on discipline. When it comes to discipline, they have taken it on another level. They said they expect players to follow the discipline guidelines that they have put across as the management of the club, and that is what they are looking at. Whoever does not subscribe to the contractual obligations or the discipline requirements at the club is going to face the sanctions. And for me, I wasn't really surprised when they chose to terminate the contract, whether it was there or not. I mean, based on what you're saying, there was no contract, but that is something that was always going to happen. And I think you're going to see more of that as the season progresses, if they are serious with discipline as they have been communicating.
I told me that we'll be coming back in the country soon to talk with some of the journalists, of course, to settle his grudges with City Oilers, and of course with the Blazers. Is he going to be dearly missed at Blazers? Because he's such a versatile guy. He can play 2, he can play 3, and I understand.
A player is missed if he has played the game. He hasn't played for Blazers, so will he be missed? No, because
like in line with their roster, because at this point they don't have that provision to add another player, because I think they had already planned that now we've got Michael Ngut, at least now the team is sold. Now they've got to contend with that with that front court, Soro, Cheng, Chuol, Makiadi, Chuma. Are they good to go?
And Paul Dong, of course, Paul Dong is a small forward. I think they will be okay. And I believe they will be just fine. What you don't want in a team that is trying to...
Fine is what? Competing for the title? Or how do you mean by fine?
No, I mean in terms of being competitive, they should be competitive.
Yes, they are supposed to be competitive, and they are going to be competitive, but they need an edge to go where they have never been.
Would you say, I mean, Michael Ngut delivered the title for State Oilers?
Not per se, but I was going to be a good piece if if Namblazers seriously wanted to win the title this season?
I think Michael Mut is just another player in the team. I mean, what you want from your players is commitment. Okay, that
exactly,
is one.
Yes.
When the player is good but not committed, you're still not going to get anything out of them. Okay, the first thing you want from your players is commitment, and what he has demonstrated so far is not a player who is committed to the cause that Namblazers is trying to put forward of competing for the title again. So a player like that, is he going to be missed? Of course, they are. As a squad, of course, he's going to get you some good points. Of course, he's a bigger body on defense, and but he's not a player that you say that because he's not a Namblazer, so Namblazer is not going to be competing or he's not going to be challenging for the title.
Franklin, that excitement was still around until Sunday. Until Sunday at Lugogo, when they faced a certain Our Savior. I think Our Savior on Saturday had beaten JKL, right?
Yes.
And of course, we all expected that maybe Namblazers, after beating KO Titans, they have got the momentum, they want to push and make a strong run into the start of the league. Yeah. They led around with 17 points.
Yes, at halftime.
Yes, at halftime, and at one stage in the game. But that comeback from Our Savior, or it's just Namblazers who just threw it away?
You can look at it in two ways. One, I think Namblazers, to be honest, Namblazers played better against Our Savior. That first half, they played better. They played a bit of structured basketball. They ran a lot of half-court sets. They ran very good transition, and they were enjoying the game. I think they were playing the game the right way. That first half, especially in the second quarter, they were playing the game the right way. Finding an open man under the hoop, running very good actions in their half-court sets. But after that, I think they got a bit comfortable.
And a certain took a lift at half time.
Yeah, I mean that is behavior that was only familiar with Peter Tab.
Yes.
Leaving games before they end.
But yes, but for Peter Tab, even though it's competitive, he can choose to go. Yes, but for Brian Tucker, I understand that he doesn't want maybe to watch games which are one-sided, or he doesn't want to watch those games where Namblazers is winning. Is it the case like some Namblazers fans have chosen him?
No, I think he was of the opinion that the game is a foregone conclusion. I mean, when a team that is actually stronger than the other leads by 17 points,
they do share that same opinion because you stayed and.
I was watching basketball. It's
not about the results.
It's not about, because I'd been there much earlier than Brian Tucker. So I was watching basketball until the end of it. I also actually had the thought of had the lead entered into the 20s. I think I was going to leave as well, but fortunately, Our Savior came back in the second half. They were a totally different side.
A strong third quarter in which they limited Namblazers to only 9 points.
Yes, and that happened because of majorly two things. One, Our Savior took away the transition opportunities from Namblazers. Of course, Namblazers employees, when there's a transition opportunity, they are going to take it very quickly. And then two, when there is a good set that they are going to run, they are going to take the basketball quickly. And then because of that pressure, they are going to be able to score very quickly. And Our Savior did that very good in the third quarter. They took out the transition opportunities, and then two, they shut down on defense because originally they were not switching on their defense in Namblazers, and now they decided to switch, and Namblazers were not getting any open shots. And on the other end, Our Savior were making some very, very difficult shots, especially from outside. I mean, it is very difficult to expect Joseph Wacha to make three-pointers in one quarter, and some of them were very, very tough, contested, and so the pressure difference that Our Savior played in the third quarter, I think the offense just fed off that. The energy just rose, and when Namblazers started missing baskets, it became very difficult. They became a little bit impatient with their sets and all that, and then now they started taking some very, very tough shots, and it became very difficult to score. And
we saw that tweet from Kelly, one of the officials at Our Savior, the owner. And of course, that win came on the day. I think he welcomed the baby boy or girl.
I'm not really familiar with family things.
Because we don't have one actually.
That shouldn't be an issue.
Pun intended. But going forward, where do you think these Blazers need to improve if they want to compete favorably this season?
One, I think, to start with, I think their second unit needs to be productive.
The bench, exactly.
Yes, the bench. I think it needs to be productive because when you look at their second unit has two very experienced players.
Before you go very far, how do you see their starting five going to be? How are they going to be starting? Like the way they started against KU?
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Gaki,
Inu, Ochera, Achol, Achen rather, as a small forward. Power forward is Joel Struma, and Mike McCarthy is the center. Yes. I think it is just as strong as any other there is or there can be in this league.
Including the Oilers?
Yes.
Not
exactly, because I mean, if you go player by player, I think they are just as good as any.
Where? Okay, you talked about their bench. They should pull out. They should pull up their socks. Maybe which other areas? Are you okay with their transitional defense?
Yeah, no, the transition defense. I mean, it is only the first game. You know, it is very difficult to make a season assessment based off just one game or two games in that regard. If by half season, I think it is fair. It's a fair period, long enough to make an assessment of that, what this team could look like at the end of the year. But based off the first two games, I think their second unit needs to be a little bit better. Especially with the experience of Geoffrey Sora and Paul Dong. I think not just going there, you shouldn't go into the game just to give rest to the starters, but also to make an impact on that game. You know, I'll give an example of, I mean, Paul Dong was telling his teammates to slow down. Off that game of KU, was telling the teammates to slow down, but then he goes into offense and then he's jacking up a three-pointer. You know, you're telling teammates to do something else and then you're doing something that is opposite.
He's not doing what he's preaching.
You get. So I think the second unit will need some time to get it together and all that. Of course, when you hear from the coach and all of the guys at practice, they are very competitive, but then you want to see what is done at practice to be put on the court against the opponents, and I think that will take time. Their starting unit is as good as there is or there can be in this league.
You know, with the Blazers wave, kanojagala producer akakwate yeka akukwate weka. And I'm putting you on spot on this one. How far do you think the Blazers are going this season? How far do you think they can go?
No, they'll be in the finals. Blazers will be in the finals, I believe. They will be in the finals.
Guys, thank you for watching the Sports Nation TV. This has been our first episode of the Inbound Show. We are going to be having a couple of these, and I just hope this man here, Franklin Kaweru from Kawo Sports, becomes a normal fixture on this show.
Probably, or hopefully, yes.
Okay, thank you for that.